Remembering. It's the moment you stop outsourcing your power and start returning to the truth that lived in your bones long before anyone told you who to be. It's the moment your inner voice becomes louder than the conditioning, the expectations, and the stories you inherited and told yourself. You don't need to become more. You need to remember who you already are. This podcast exists to help you magnetize your depth and dismantle the illusions beneath the roles, the masks, and the survival strategies to find real and sustainable strength. I'm Dahlia, and each conversation is an invitation back to your own inner authority, a reminder that your power was never missing, it was waiting. This is the remembering. Let's begin. Hello and welcome to The Remembering. I am back as your host, Dahlia Rose, and I am not here alone. I am ecstatic about this conversation. This is the first time in my life I've gotten to fangirl not just over, but with an author that I'm reading their book. This book, and we'll get into it, but it's been an absolute game changer. And here on the Remembering, we are all about pulling together healing and our spiritual path and our energetic path in a way that isn't fake or rehearsed or anything like that. And this book, you know that it's real because not just your mind gets involved, your body gets to have an experience. And I'm ecstatic to share about like little personal things about my journey. But first, who am I here with? I'm here with April Little, speaker, author, coach, just all around amazing being. I got a chance to meet you, April, in Costa Rica. And I remember looking over and just being like, I need to talk to her. You had this glow about you. And right, everybody glows in Costa Rica, but there was something else happening. And I got a chance to speak with you not in person, but on Zoom. And
Yep.
your mission, your being, your embodiment just spoke to my soul, and as did your book. And I would love for you to introduce yourself and share a little bit about your mission that so moved me.
Well, I hope that we're talking about the same mission because sometimes you have, more than one. But yeah, I think that my mission in life right now, and the one that has, I had a recent download, and so now I call it my mission forever for right now. And I'm open to changing that. That's the beautiful and glorious thing. I think that when you get to a certain point, like whatever the universe is handing you is whatever you're going to take it and run with it. And so right now, the thing that I'm taking and running with is I've been working with women for a number of years, actually for a very, very long time. I also have 4 sisters. I have 3 daughters. I have a granddaughter. And so the way women are in the world and the way that women are treated and the way that women are viewed and the way that women are being in the world is very important to me. And so again, I've worked with women as a coach for a couple of years now, and so I had a download a few months ago that was just an extension of what I've been doing, a very exciting extension. And so coming up next year, I'll be releasing a whole new kind of branch of that, and that will be dealing with women and girls. So girls,
Mm.
teenage girls, all the way through, however, 104-year-old women, just encouraging them to become more of themselves, which is really what the book is about too. And I think that is really the overriding mission, is just helping women to step into their own power and their own potential and
Mm.
being who they are meant to be in this world and stepping into the space that is inherently theirs.
I really feel like in that mission, there's something unique, right? I've heard similar missions, but when you say it, and then when I pulled that from the book, there was something completely different happening. So I'm sort of voicing that as listeners might go and explore you and say, okay, well I've heard that before. It's it's nothing like what you're expecting. I have been in the healing industry probably, goodness, like since 2015. And there's something about what you're saying and how you bring it forward that really took me back to those first moments of healing and even before that.
Hmm.
So with all of that, what I one of the things that I want to do get into right away is the book. I've I've saved
I
this
almost want to
moment.
interview you. Like, I'm so interested to hear your experience. This is going to be great.
So guys, the Me First Paradox, that's the book. Um and this is so if we might dive before we dive into it, and thank you for going on my ADHD journey with me. Um, you mentioned your process in writing it. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, it was such an interesting experience for me because I didn't really ever set out to be an author. I wasn't, I never sat and thought about, like, oh, I should write a book. What should I write a book about? It really was definitely a calling that came from the universe. Last Christmas, in Christmas of 2024, I was traveling to and from Utah, where my oldest daughter lives, with my family. And, as one does when they're in the airport waiting for the plane to arrive, I had a lot of time just to, like, scroll through social media. And I had happened across quite a number of women that I had known in my life. Some that I had known since, elementary school, and knew personally, and some who I had never met in person, but I had known online, and who were just all expressing this pain of um, letting go of certain roles in their life. And so some of them, were experiencing divorce. Some of them were experiencing the loss of a spouse. Some of them were experiencing the loss of a parent. Some were discussing the transition of going from being a full-time mother to children leaving the nest. Some were losing jobs and careers and all sorts of things, just a lot of transition going on. And what
Mm,
I kept seeing over and over again was this pain of loss of identity because they had lost a role. And so what I was seeing was that they were so attaching their identity to this single role that they had been playing that they felt completely lost, like they
mm,
were set adrift and didn't know what to do or where to go next or even who they were. And it literally broke my heart in a way that is hard to describe. Usually when I talk about this and I'm like really struggling to keep it together, like I don't know how many times I've told this story and every single time I choke up because it broke my heart like in pieces, knowing that there was so much more to these women and them not knowing that. Like it killed me. And so my kind of thought process that happened after that was like, okay, I can't coach every single one of these women. Some of these women cannot afford coaching from me or anyone else, right?
sure.
Some of them are just not in the right place for that, or they're starting at a very, not at a level where that would be fully accepted by their body or by their nervous system or whatever else, their mind. And so it just came to me, and you need to write a book. It needs to go in a book. They can pick it up if they want to. They don't have to if they don't want to. You know what I mean? Like it's a very non-scary thing, a book, because you can just put it back down if you don't. You know what I mean? It's
Sure.
non-threatening. So it came to me that I should do that, and I started writing this book. and I wrote the majority of the book, all but one chapter I wrote in about 3 weeks because, and I tell people this all the time. I didn't write a book. I downloaded a book. Like a book
Yeah.
just flowed right through me, right? I channeled a book. And then the process of getting the book out into the world was also kind of interesting because I had a very strong experience where I was like, okay, well, do I send this to publishers? How do I do that? All this. And I had a very strong impression, like that's going to take way too much time. This needs to be out there now. And so I was like, cool, whatever. Because again, I was looking to be an author. I'm not trying to be an author. I just want the book to be out there, to be available to these women and all the millions of others that are similar to them, right? And so it just got published on Amazon. It was very fast. And so I went from starting the book to publishing the book in less than 6 months, which is kind of crazy, um, but not so crazy when you know that it was really like a full on download from the universe. So,
Yeah, I mean, everything that you're saying was that it had to be divinely orchestrated. And
absolutely.
I I again, in reading the book, you can really feel that. That's the thing about channeled work or downloaded work, is
Totally.
that it's palpable. As soon as you pick it up, there's an energetic experience in the hands, if that's how you feel energy. And then
Yeah.
as you're reading the words, there's something about them that's very penetrating. And I could feel that. And I love that this book, it's for wherever you are on your path. Like I
Yeah.
said, I've been in the game since, and it feels like a game. I've
Yes,
been
it
in the game since
does.
2015. And there were things in there that weren't new to me, but it was like they had been buried under so much stuff, between things that I'd been through, things that I'd healed from, but also this, I'll just say it, like ego that was like, oh yeah, I dealt with that.
Of course.
And so reading it, guys, reading it, you enter into it with fresh eyes. And there were some things, and we'll get to them, where I read them with fresh eyes and I was just like, oh my God. It was the kind of one of those, what have I been doing with my life moments, and recognizing where the autopilot was. And in the spirit of this podcast, not remembering my depth. And it's so easy to slip into that with kids, responsibilities, life, jobs, careers, partners, like those sort of titles that box you into these very small and precise places. And you forget your wild
Who
nature.
you are. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So the book plays zero games, bottom line. And one of the first exercises, guys, is mirror work. I mean, I grew up not even looking in the mirror.
Yeah.
So it was just not a thing, in any way, shape, or form. And it wasn't like a vanity issue. It was just like, there's other things that are important. But it took me a long time to get to a place where I even liked what I looked at, because I wasn't used to looking at it.
Mhm.
I had an image of what I looked like in my mind, and then when I looked in the mirror, I was like, "That's not is that me?" But what I wanted to ask you, with the mirror work exercise, you recommend 1 to 2 minutes of affirmations as you're doing that, which I think just intensifies. It's hard enough looking in the mirror. Now you're asking me to talk to myself.
Yeah.
You offered this as an opportunity for us to really see ourselves. How long do you think that takes on average, or like what was it like for you?
I think I'm not maybe the best study in this because I have always really liked myself, always with a few exceptions. But like even growing up, but when I had no good reason to, I still really liked myself.
Okay.
Um, and because I was a really nerdy gawky kid, man. And I still really liked myself. And so I'm not sure if I'm like the best case study, but let's just put it on a spectrum, right? Like, so put, someone like me to someone like some of the people that I know and some of the women that I've worked with who it takes weeks, I mean, weeks of
Hmm.
deliberate, intentional work to even be able to look at themselves without totally breaking down. Like they just can't keep eye contact. So there is a huge spectrum there. And I can't really answer that question with any, you know, there's no definitive answer to that. It's however long it takes you. What I can say is it's worth it, however long it takes you. So for me, I can look myself in the eye. Um, for a lot of people, but what I did notice, even about myself, was that was a completely different exercise than anything I had experienced before. And I mean, like, I
Hmm.
do my makeup, I do my, whatever, I do all the things like most people do.
Hmm.
I brush my teeth, but we aren't really in contact with ourselves. We're just looking at ourselves, right? We're not really making contact with the soul that's inside of the eyes, right?
Hmm.
And really the reason I put mirror work very deliberately at the very front of the book like that was because if you can do that, you can do anything. Like if you
Mm.
once you can do that, the rest of the exercises, I mean, it's not that they're going to be easy, but nothing is going to probably feel quite as hard as that does. And so that was very deliberate. If you're going to do the work within the book, then let's go ahead and just dive headfirst in. You know what I mean? Like let's don't
Right.
pussyfoot around this.
No,
So,
no, let the universe catch you.
yeah. Yeah, but yes, there's a huge broad spectrum of that. Like there are a lot of especially women who it will take them like weeks to work up to really actually maintaining eye contact with themselves. And
I
that's
appreciate,
fine. Like there's no right or wrong. There's no real time frame here. The work is the work.
and I think that's the answer, right? Like, I the reason for asking the question, one of the things that I love in the book is that you distinguish between what works and what may be difficult. And I've not come across that in I mean, if you look behind me, there I love books.
Yeah, me
and,
too.
and and to date, I can say I've not really come across this idea of like I don't want to say like plan for failure, but it's like be realistic. I think that's
Yeah,
sort of the better phrasing. And so, what I would love for listeners to understand from this is like, it's not going to the mirror once or twice. And whether you like yourself or don't, there's work there for you. Like you said,
absolutely.
not looking through yourself, looking at yourself. So yeah,
Mhm.
I love the intentionality. I love the intensity. I'm an intense person. I love intense things.
Yeah, and
Um,
I think, that to that point, I knew that this book was gonna be read by a spectrum of people. And one of my initial readers before the book was published, told let me know that this was the first self-help book she'd ever read, ever.
hmm.
She's in her 70s. And so I wanted it to be approachable and usable by people who were all the way there, on that end, as well as people who, like you and I, who've done years of self work. But there's always another level. You don't ever stop this work. And like you said before, it's a game. It gets to be like a game almost. And so, like, you're always looking for that next level. And so, even if you have been doing work for a long time, I also wanted it to be something that could still benefit, might have something in it also for people who've been doing the work for a long time.
Absolutely. And there's no question of the benefit. That moment where it takes you back to basics it's almost startling because I was like, okay, I'm going to do the journal exercises. I'm going to do the mirror work. And it really caused me to slow down in a way that I hadn't even realized.
Yeah.
Now, There was another, I'm sort of dancing through the book because guys, this book is really juicy and we could probably have a 6-hour conversation on
For sure.
it. There was another part of the book where you talk about embodiment. I feel like that's a missing component in the healing industry. And in terms of the remembering and like remembering who we are and getting into that deeply and making it a permanent part of life, I feel like embodiment is part of that.
Yeah.
But you said this thing. You said embodiment is being the creator rather than the spectator in your life. And that was like I had to clean brain matter up off the wall because I work in that embodied space, but just the fluidity of the way you reference that. Can you say more about how you've seen others embody that creator energy or how you've done it?
Yeah, sure. I think, you know, there was an actual moment for me, and it wasn't that long ago. Like you, I've been in this for probably actually a shorter period of time than even you have been. So like probably about 7 years. And there was a moment where the need was so strong that that's where that came from.
Mm,
I found it in like in desperation, like so many people do. And there was a switch that took me like a literal experience that I had in my mind where it took me from like that sort of almost victim mentality. Why is this happening to me? Why are things the way that they are? To, hey, guess what? Wake up, girl. This is actually you. You're doing this. You're creating this. And I was, of course, affronted at first. Um, but it was such an empowering belief as well. Like instantly, I was like, wait. If I can control this, then I can control that. Like, then I get to create this. Like, if I've created this mess, right, that I was in at the time, like, then I can create whatever I want. Like, it was a whole entire switch, like, complete mental shift, right? And that is when we literally started creating the life that we wanted because we
mm,
didn't have the life that we had done all the things. Like we were in the position of my husband is an attorney, and so he was a partner in his firm. There were we had a great big house in the suburbs. We had cars for ourselves and all of our teenage daughters. Like we had nice vacations. We had all the things, and we did not have the freedom, the happiness, the fulfillment that we thought
mm,
was supposed to come with all of that, right? And so I was like, okay, cool. Okay, cool. So then I can create that. Then we're going to do that. We're going to do that and we're going to start right now because that's the kind of girl I am. I'm like, let's start tomorrow. I mean, yesterday. So yeah, we literally instantly, and especially I started first and then I brought my husband in on it. Started becoming the creator of my own life. And we have created some incredible and amazing things. I am so sorry about this lighting. It's coming right in from a window, so you'll have to excuse
okay.
that. But yeah, so some incredible and amazing things, and an amazing life, and amazing. I think the best part of it is that we've created amazing feelings
Mm,
that that don't even have to match what other people would call reality. Like we've learned how to create and to embody things like powerful wealth and incredible abundance before they showed up, right?
wow.
And that has been probably the most fun thing to me and the most empowering thing to me is to learn that you can embody things like wealth, things like abundance, things like authority, things like you name it. You can literally embody anything before it even shows up in the like, what a lot of people call the 3D world.
Right.
And that is like, there's a lot of power in that and just a lot
Absolutely.
of joy. a lot of fulfillment that we didn't have before that.
So having experienced that, having gotten to the core of that, I'm assuming that's part of your programs, any of the things that you guys, you and your husband or you yourself are enriching others with.
So that is what I teach as a coach is I'm an embodiment and deep self-care or soul care coach. So that is what I
Mm,
do. I work specifically with women. I work with women coaches. I work with women leaders, and I teach them to embody what it is that they are teaching, what it is that they're coaching in, whatever they're leading in, so that there's so much more ease to their life and it flows from them rather than like a performance, which can be very, very draining. But when it is coming right out of you and when it's flowing right from you, then you're serving all the time from overflow and there is no depletion. And
mm,
it's an amazing place to be. And so that's what I teach.
beautiful. Um I'm sitting with that word ease, that it creates ease in their life because I feel like the promise given from spiritual communities, from healing communities, metaphysics, you name it, is this sort of false structure around like, oh, life is going to get better. And what I hear you saying in with that word of ease is that no, life is going to happen. Like life is going to life, and we're going to hit the spiritual gym and the energy gym, and you're going to be prepared for it.
Yeah, that's it. Because it's not just like, well, you bring in the metaphor of the gym, like the weights don't get lighter, you get stronger.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So the weights feel lighter. And like now in my life, things can hit. I mean, and of course they do because life be life in, right? All the time. Um, but things can hit in my life and I don't have to sit in them for any period of time.
Not at all.
Like I know how to emotionally move myself through while feeling everything that I need to feel, but at a speed that I can get to where I want to be and feel the things I want to feel much faster than I used to be able to do. Right. I'm not going to say like it's not some, I'm not all the way there. Like there's other levels, right? I'm going to be leveling up for a long time, but like forever. But I have now gotten to that place where I'm able to create my own emotional atmosphere. I have an inner world that is strong enough now that the outer world means very little. What happens out there is minuscule to me as compared to what I have inside of myself.
And you mentioned, or maybe you mentioned off camera, you I what I want to think about, or where my mind, like my mind was kind of going a little bit faster than my brain or my mouth for a minute, but how needed that is for children, right? Because you're the whole reason that you're able to sort of teach this and give it to adults is because we're not taught in childhood. And I think about how much different the world would be and how much more impactful women could be if they were taught that sort of I create my own emotional environment. It doesn't mean that, I mean, we'd probably still have a good bit of what we have. But I was having this conversation earlier, when women are better, the world is better.
That's the whole idea. I think women are who will make the world better. Like
Mhm.
that is why I ultimately that's why I do what I do. Is because that power, I really believe that power lies in the hands of women and those women who are just still girls, little girls even. Um and yes, I think, one of the things that's really beautiful that I'm seeing more and more is that there is a generation. So my daughter is well, two of my daughters are mothers, but the daughter that lives with us, I get to see her be a mother every single day. And she has taught her tiny little daughter from the time she was little tiny, before she could speak, how to regulate her nervous system.
Oh,
Like, what? Well, I would love to go back and be able to teach that to my children. I didn't have a clue. I did not have a clue. So there's no way I could have taught anyone else. But this generation, my daughter's generation, and those younger than her, they have an awareness and awakening that I didn't have, at that
Mhm.
age when I was a very young parent. And to see them train their children up in things like nervous system regulation, like you have so much hope for the world, to come. Um, I think that I think that there is a lot more awareness. There is a lot more awakening just going on in the world overall. That is very hopeful to me. I see people like you and I who are at work waking the world up on purpose. You know what I mean? And in purpose. And there are
Mhm.
so many others like us out there.
Absolutely.
Even the people that are listening to your podcast, I'm sure, are part of that. And so I do think that there is like a generalized awakening of the world going on, and we just get to be like a little part of that, and that's super exciting. But
It
yes,
is.
I think, if we can train our children to know things that we never knew and to be able to do things that we never did, like,
Mm.
can you imagine an entire generation of people who like can just simply regulate their own nervous system? Like,
I mean,
what a
it's
different
half the
world.
job.
What a totally different world. You know what I mean? Like, how
Right. I
crazy.
mean, all of the reactivity that we see in the world is
Yes,
that. All of it,
yes,
100% of it.
yes, yes.
And just to be able to declare what's
What
real.
if literally we had a like a beautiful, blissful, happy inner world, the things that would not even exist if every individual had that. You know what I mean?
Well,
It's just
because our
crazy.
our world is a representation of our inner world.
It's just
And
a
so
mirror. Yeah.
it would be night and day.
Yes. And what is, I mean, this is probably pretty woo for a lot of people, but like also the world that you see is not the same world that I see. You know what I mean? Like you and I and anyone else, like line 50 people up in a room and ask them all to describe it's not the same.
It's
And
not.
it's not the same because what is going on inside of us is not the same.
Right.
So again, if we all had like, I mean, it would never be the same, but like, could it all be like that much more beautiful if we all had
Yes.
this beautiful inner world that we built? And so again, that's one of the reasons I do what I do is because it all starts with me. It all starts with the individual, everything, all of it, all the good things. They all start within our own selves. And that's why I wrote the book and that's why I do what I do and all the things. So
On track with the nervous system regulation in kids, but also in adults, one of the things that, in terms of like the book slowing you down and things like that, one of the things that came to light for me was in the section about loving yourself. That, oh my God. um, I feel like my whole being was set on fire by that section. And I mean that in the best way. And nervous system, why does this tie into nervous system regulation? I feel like it's the next leg of the journey. So like once your nervous system is regulated and you have a sense of what's real, you can ask that question of, what does love mean to me? Do I love myself? How am I loving myself? Where is the evidence for that? And quick funny story, I read that passage, that chapter. I also love, by the way, your chapters don't have numbers. And I don't know if that was
nope,
intentional.
intentional.
Okay. So
I
you
don't
guys
want
are
people to think
actually,
there's a specific order. You know what I mean? Like, because there's not. It's for
well,
you. You know what I
for
mean? Like this is my love letter to you. Just read it as you will.
I
Whatever
love
works for you.
that. For me, it was not looking for a finish line,
Mm-hmm.
because I do that. I'll go, okay, how many
Yeah.
chapters?
Oh,
But
that's so funny.
so I was reading this at 4 a.m. And why was I awake at 4 a.m. is another podcast episode. But I was up at 4 a.m. I'm reading it and I'm reading it slowly. And at that hour, you can do nothing but be with yourself.
Right.
And as I'm reading it, my body is unlocking. I can feel my musculature softening as I'm asking the questions that are prompted in there. looking over the exercises and coming to this realization that I did not love myself as much as I thought I did.
Yeah.
And asking myself, like, I had to put the book down as the tears are rolling. And I'm going, when did that happen? When did I stop? When did I pause? When did this occur? And I remember being so gobsmacked, crying profusely. My body, like I said, I felt like my whole body was set on fire. My whole energy field was set on fire. And immediately I broke out into hives, like within a 24-hour period. Now, saying that out loud, and I still have them right now. Like we are still purging, guys. And I say that because that's what I mean by true healing. That is a healing crisis. How do you know that you're not just intellectualizing a healing journey? How do you know that you're actually doing the work? Is that your body responds. Somebody wrote a book on it.
Yes.
And and
Couple
picking up
people.
this book, I had that process and continue to as I continue to read. And it's the loving yourself part, guys. It's in the middle of the book. So you've got to work your way there. And by the time you get there, you're fortified. I can't think of how much worse my response would have been had you not prepared me in the beginning stages of the book. I probably would have, like, I don't know, thrown up on myself, been like bedridden.
Thank you, universe, for your direction. Yes, because yeah, I don't, it's, I, I mean, I cannot say that everything was intentional on my part. I do know that there was a lot of intention, obviously, in the book from my part, but I guarantee you some of that was not my doing. Some of that
Oh
was
no.
definitely like the universe helping out there. Um, but yeah, I first of all, I'm just so unbelievably proud of you for actually doing the work because I know that there are many women who pick the book up and read through the book and are like, yeah, that was a good book. That had a lot of good information in it. And for them, that may be all that they can do and all that they can take in that moment. And that is fine. But I did design the book very specifically so that if you were willing and able, you could do the work as you read through. Because I have a quote in the book at the very beginning of the book somewhere that is one of my favorites. That's from one of the Stoics that says basically like reading a book is going to get you nowhere. You have to like basically embody the information, right? You have to really learn and put that into practice. And so I wanted the book to be a book that was not just information but practice.
Hmm.
And practice is a word for a reason. Like it is a word with several meanings for a reason. They're all very interrelated. So a practice is very much practice. And we're all practicing. That's all we're doing. Um and so yes, there are lots and lots of practices throughout the book. There are lots and lots of opportunities, invitations for growth if that's what you're ready for. And yeah, I'm just really proud of you for doing the hard things because this is like, but it is so interesting because when you wrote me and told me about that, I was like, man, I tell you what, that body, our body really, it does truly keep the score. It's in there
It's
somewhere.
miraculous.
Everything is in there
Yeah.
somewhere. And doing things like somatic work and um, and working emotion through the body is just really, really important as you go through this kind of work.
And I wanted to bring it to light as we were talking, sort of like what my body went through, so that others would understand, like, this that's a sign that you're on the right path. Now, if that doesn't happen to you, like, more power to you, great. And as you are
And I
processing the
hope not all
information
of you get
through,
hives. Like I don't want
no,
you
let's
to
not.
have hives.
We're putting that out there.
but like I mean, if your body uncontrollably shakes, or
Oh my
or you
gosh, tremoring
sob,
is great.
or you don't sleep for a day, or there's all sorts of things that can happen, and none of that is bad. You know what I
No,
mean? Like
not at
all
all.
of it is just it's just part of the work.
I want to because there's more to the book. I mean, like I'm talking about the middle and going from love, self love into business also feels very personal. Like to be able to reorchestrate a business from a place of self love. Everybody that's afraid to become an entrepreneur, you shed that. I've made better business decisions in this week alone. Like 4
Oh,
days from reading the book, I've taken some really bold steps. And it was from, I'm getting a little emotional. It was
well,
from
I'm going to too.
it was from this place of self-love, and I want to thank you for moving through your life, through your experiences, through if there was doubt, if there was fear, concern, frustration, to bring this to the floor, because it was something that completely shifted me. And I'm now like stepping into life in a way that is, I'm not afraid to confront, and I'm not afraid to move through what other people may be going through as they see me be bigger than I've ever been. So I
Oh,
want to
that
pause.
is, man, girl, that is powerful. That is good stuff.
I want to
Wow.
thank you for facilitating that. And
Mm,
guys, there's programs, there's this book. Please, 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 before we draw to a close, April, just please share what you have going on so people know where to run to, and to gain a fraction. I really feel like a fraction of what I got, and then move into higher with you. What does that look
yeah.
like?
Well, I mean, the book is free if you have, is it Kindle? Yes, Kindle, Kindle, what is it called? Unlimited or whatever it's called. It's
Oh yeah.
free, so that's like the very cheapest way to work with me for sure, or to get some of that, some of what you've experienced. And it's like 14.95 on Amazon,
Oh,
for
it's
the
worth it.
hardcover. I'm a hardcover girly all the way. I love to highlight things, dog ear things, write on things, and then I usually never go back and look at it again. But I do love to do that. So if you're that kind of person, you can get the book on Amazon. And then there are any number of other ways also to work with me or to work on things that I have written. And um, I have a new guide coming out probably this weekend, that is called The Beautiful Breakdown. That is something that came of me having a series of 4 breakdowns in
Mm,
probably a 6-month period, the most difficult period of my life, which has only been a couple of years ago, and kind of figuring out that exact same process that we just talked about, where I talked about like this realization that I had control, or that I had creative control over my life. I realized during these breakdowns that I also had creative control over my breakdowns, and I could either do it the ugly way, or I could do it in a beautiful way. And so I've created a course or an ebook, that will guide you through creating your own beautiful breakdowns, um, which breakthrough is on the other side of your breakdowns. And so that's one of the reasons why I also still love a breakdown to this day. Um, and then my husband and I, we coach entrepreneur couples. And so if one or more members of the couplehood are in entrepreneurship, own a small business or any size business, we do coach that, and we have a system that we teach, and that system teaches um, teaches couples to build businesses that serve their dream life, and not, a life that serves your business, which is
mm,
the not the way to go. But again, this all comes from us doing things the wrong way, right? There's there's just unbelievable growth and wisdom that comes from, specifically and only comes from, the challenges and the hard things that we sometimes go through. And one of the things that I really love is that we've chosen to take those things, the hardest things that have ever happened to us, the worst ways that we've chosen to do things, the mistakes that we've made, and turn them into gifts, not only for ourselves, but also for other people to share. And so, yeah, there's lots of ways that you can work with me or work with us. And really, right now, because we're right in the middle of switching over our website and building our website, so right now, the best way probably to contact me is just on my Facebook. I just get on my personal Facebook. It's April Little, and you can friend me or talk to me or DM me or whatever you want to do. And that's a great way to start a conversation. Is just DM me in Facebook, and I'll start a conversation with you.
I love that. And not to keep it in the dark, April has an amazing Facebook group that is uplifting women, and you can go in there. What I love, because I don't love Facebook, but
Oh, a lot of
what
people
I
don't. That's fine.
but what I do love is in my feed almost every morning. I mean, I don't want to put pressure on you, but almost every
Oh,
morning there is some
every day, yep.
uplifting message, either from a member or from from you personally, that I can just look through and read. There's a consideration, maybe a question, and
Yep.
it's a bright and shiny spot in the drama that is, social media.
Yes.
And so
Yeah.
I like, if you need that little kick, and I didn't think I did, to be clear. Like, I realist, whatever that means. I'm starting to change. And so I was really cool to just like find something I didn't know I needed to just pop
Yeah.
up and give me like a little boost. And Facebook is always listening. So sometimes I get two boosts in a day from April's group.
Yes, well, that's kind of that's what I would say is like the more that you join groups like this, the more curated your social
Mhm.
media will become to spit out only things that look like that. Like it's so funny because I've had people say things like, "Oh, you just see so much drama or so much crap or, other words like that on social media." And I'm like, "Really? I don't see that. It's weird because I don't see that." But you know why I don't see that is because I have carefully curated my social media to not show me that stuff. I only see literally I can scroll and it'll be like there'll be ads because I do buy stuff, but like there'll be ads, but then there'll be like, just like so many beautiful uplifting posts. That's really what
Mhm.
I mostly see. And you can curate your entire life to look like that.
Yeah.
That's
So
the
why
beauty of it. You're the
start
creator,
with
right?
Facebook and then move to April's programs? That's the way. And
There you
what
go.
I'll do
That's true.
is, for listeners, I will link all the info below
Perfect.
this video, and then they can touch base with you the way that I have,
Yeah.
to include the link to the book, because oh my gosh, I love that you were like, this is the soft approach. It brought me back to a moment, a remembering, where in the beginning stages, my dilemma was having a person in my life who was not going to approve of something like this. And so books were my savior at the
Mhm.
time, and kept me going. And anyway, so many great things to say. I have pages upon pages of notes in this, just for this one book, and I wish, like, we can't fully capture it in an hour. But April, again, I am so grateful to have
Oh,
had this experience and moment with you. I'd love to have you back in the future, just to keep
would love
us
that.
fresh on what you have going on.
Yeah.
And thank you. Just thank you. Thank you. It really isn't enough.
Well, thank you so much for allowing me to, use your beautiful platform that you're building here, and to, just get the word out a little bit more. Again, I think um, the end goal here is just to see more women and more people step into who they really are and their authenticity and the beauty that is, because it's always beautiful. And it's always something the world really desperately needs. And so thank you so much for allowing me to use your platform for that.
Absolutely. You are part of this mission of remembering. And thank you to the listeners. Thank you for joining. And we will catch you next time on The Remembering.